Hey, listener. You know you're probably getting ready for that IELTS exam, and that means tackling some pretty tough topics,
Yeah.
like economics. So today we're going to dive into 50
Wow.
powerful economics words and phrases
Nice.
that can really help you on the exam.
Yeah.
And hey, even if you're not taking the IELTS,
Right.
mastering this vocabulary can make you sound super smart about economics
Absolutely.
in no time.
It's true.
Okay, let's kick things off with those must-know econ terms.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that seem to be everywhere. I'm talking about inflation,
Yeah.
recession.
Good ones.
They're kind of inescapable these days.
Yeah, inflation is huge.
Yeah,
It basically means how fast prices are rising
right.
for stuff we buy every day.
Okay.
And then there's recession.
Uh-huh.
That's like the economy's taking a downturn.
Yeah.
You'll definitely want to know those two inside and out.
Okay, those are terms you just can't avoid these days.
Nope.
But how about GDP? Oh,
Good one.
I'd always hear that one thrown around.
yeah.
But I'm not always sure what it really means.
So GDP, or gross domestic product.
Right.
It's like the star player when it comes to measuring how well a country's economy is doing.
Okay.
It's like the total value of all the goods and services
Wow.
produced within a country's borders over, a certain period of time.
Okay, so it's like a snapshot of the economy?
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
But some folks argue it doesn't tell the whole story.
Oh, really?
Like it doesn't capture things like quality of life or, how sustainable things are environmentally.
That's an interesting point. So
Yeah.
maybe we're missing some of the details.
Exactly. That's why it's important to look at other factors too.
Okay, so we've got the heavy hitters like inflation, recession, GDP.
Mm-hmm.
But the source also points out some really interesting phrases
Yeah,
that kind of paint a picture of the economy,
I like that.
like booming economy
Yeah.
and stagnant economy. Yeah, those are really helpful for describing the overall state of an economy.
Okay.
A booming economy means things are growing really fast
Okay.
and there's tons of economic activity.
Okay.
Whereas a stagnant economy means there's little or no growth.
So a booming economy is kind of like a car racing ahead,
Exactly.
and a stagnant economy is kind of stuck in neutral.
Yeah, perfect analogy.
I like that.
And speaking of trends, the source also gets into phrasal verbs.
Ah, yes. Phrasal verbs.
They're key for talking about how the economy goes up and down.
Okay. They can be tricky, but I'm ready for the challenge.
Awesome.
What kind of phrasal verbs are we talking about here?
Well, for instance, there's a difference between go up and pick up.
Okay.
They both mean an increase,
Uh-huh.
but pick up has this sense of improvement or recovery, whereas go up is just more general.
Okay, so prices went up just means they increased.
Exactly.
Prices picked up is like a more positive thing.
Exactly. You got it.
That's a really subtle difference.
Yeah, but important.
Okay, so we've got some key vocabulary down,
Yeah.
and we've started to look at phrasal verbs.
We have?
Now I'm ready for something a little more fun.
Okay.
Tell me about the idioms.
Idioms.
Yeah,
They add so much flavor to language.
I like it. I'm all about adding some spice to my economic vocabulary.
I love that.
So what kind of idioms are we talking about?
Oh, they're those classic ones like go through the roof.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Hit rock bottom
Ooh.
to describe those big swings in the economy.
Oh, those are great. I could totally see myself using go through the roof to
Yeah.
talk about crazy housing prices.
Sure, yeah.
Or maybe the price of avocados.
Oh, yeah.
When there's a shortage.
Perfect examples.
Okay. And on the other side, hit rock bottom,
Yeah,
could describe a company's stock price
totally.
during a really bad time.
Yep. Like a major crisis.
Yeah, that one's a little more painful to think about,
Yeah.
but I get the picture.
Good.
So idioms can really help us describe those big economic changes
Absolutely.
in a way that's more, interesting.
Way more engaging.
Okay, so we've covered key vocabulary.
We have.
We've explored phrasal verbs,
Yeah.
and we've even dipped our toes into idioms.
Yes.
Now I'm ready to tackle those real-world economic problems that we
Okay.
hear about all the time.
And the source has some great terms for that,
Okay.
like cost of living and interest rates.
Yeah,
Both of which really hit close to home.
definitely. Speaking of things hitting close to home,
Yeah.
let's talk about debt.
Okay.
That's a word that can make anyone nervous.
Definitely.
What kind of insights does the source offer on this topic?
Well, it emphasizes that debt itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's how you manage it that matters.
Oh, okay.
It's like you wouldn't want to max out your credit cards every month, right?
Right. No.
A country needs to be smart about its debt levels, too.
Okay. Starting to feel a little better about my student loans.
There you go. It's all about finding that balance.
And the source also uses some great idioms to describe managing money, like tighten your belts.
Yes.
And rainy day fund.
Those are classics.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
Tighten your belt reminds me of my grandma.
Oh.
She always used to say that during tough times.
That's good advice, though.
And rainy day fund. I wish I had started one of those sooner.
They really captured that idea of being careful with your money.
Right.
And being ready for anything.
I'm feeling a little more confident about, navigating the world of economics now.
I'm glad to hear that.
But sometimes, I gotta admit, I feel kind of lost in conversations about economics.
I get it.
Yeah. All those complicated terms and theories.
They can be intimidating.
Can be pretty intimidating.
For sure. But you know what the source suggests?
What's that?
Use phrases that give you a confident pause. I'm not an expert, but...
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like acknowledging you're still learning.
Right.
But you can still contribute to the conversation.
Exactly. Shows you're engaged.
And hey, sometimes it's okay to just admit you're totally lost.
Totally.
That's where those fun idioms come in.
Yeah.
Sounds Greek to me, or talking double Dutch.
Oh, those are good ones.
Yeah, those are great.
They make it less like you're failing econ.
Right.
And more like you're just having a laugh with friends.
Oh, okay. Feeling much better now, but I'm ready to level up.
Okay.
What about those advanced idioms?
Oh, yes. The ones that make you sound like a true economics guru.
Yeah, those. I'm ready.
All right. Well, the source has a whole section just for those
Perfect.
advanced idioms that add a layer of, sophistication to your language.
Okay, bring it on. I'm ready to unlock the secrets of these advanced idioms.
We're glad to share them with you.
Welcome back, listener. We're going to keep diving deeper into econ today, exploring those ideas that might seem a little scary at first.
I know what you mean.
But they're actually pretty easy once you get the main ideas,
It's true.
It's like economics has this reputation for being super complicated.
Right.
But really, it's all about understanding how people make decisions when resources are limited.
Exactly. It's about everyday choices.
Okay.
Like what to buy, how much to save, where to work, that kind of thing.
Right. It's about those everyday choices. But how do all those individual decisions, add up to the bigger picture of the economy?
That's where things get really interesting. One of the key ideas is supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Yeah, you'll probably see that on the IELTS.
Yeah, I remember learning about that in school.
Yeah.
Little refresher never hurts.
Never hurts. So basically, supply is how much of something
Okay.
producers are willing to sell at a certain price.
Okay.
And demand is how much of that same thing consumers are willing to buy at that price.
So if a lot of people want a product, but there's not a lot of it available,
Exactly.
the price goes up.
Exactly.
Like those fidget spinners a few years back.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone wanted one, but there weren't enough,
Right.
and the prices went way up.
Exactly. It's like a tug of war between the buyers and the sellers.
And the price is where those two forces kind of balance out.
Right. Now, to see how the whole economy is doing, economists use something called economic indicators.
Oh, economic indicators.
Yeah, those are the numbers you hear about all the time.
Right, like the unemployment rate, inflation, consumer confidence.
Yeah, those numbers tell us a lot about the health of the economy.
Okay, so if the unemployment rate is going up, that could mean that businesses are struggling.
Exactly.
And the economy's slowing down.
It could mean that, yeah.
So it's like we're taking the economy's temperature.
I like that. And just like a doctor might give you medicine when you're sick, governments can use things like fiscal and monetary policy to try and influence the economy.
Okay, now we're getting into the more complex stuff. Can you remind me about the difference between those two?
Sure. Fiscal policy is about the government's spending and taxes.
Right.
So they might increase spending on things like infrastructure to make the economy grow faster.
So it's like the government's toolbox.
Exactly. For steering the economy.
And what about monetary policy?
That's all about controlling the money supply and interest rates.
Okay.
Usually a central bank handles that.
Okay. And by changing interest rates, they can encourage people to borrow and spend more or less.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how these policies can really impact the whole economy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But it sounds tricky, right? Like a balancing act?
Oh, for sure. It's definitely not a perfect science.
Right.
And people are always arguing about the best way to do things.
Okay.
Plus, there are all sorts of different economic philosophies out there that influence these decisions.
We hear about different economic systems,
We do.
like capitalism and socialism.
Yeah.
What are the main differences between those?
Well, it's important to remember those terms are kind of broad,
Okay.
There are lots of variations within each system.
Right.
But generally, capitalism is all about private ownership
Okay.
and free markets,
Right.
while socialism focuses more on social ownership
Mm-hmm.
and the government being more involved in the economy.
So it's a debate about, like, how much the government should be involved.
Exactly. And how resources should be divided up.
Okay.
These debates come up all the time in politics
Yeah, definitely.
and policy decisions.
I can see how understanding those different economic viewpoints is really important for those conversations,
Absolutely.
especially on the IELTS.
For sure.
It's not just about the definitions, right? It's about understanding the bigger implications.
Exactly. It's about getting a well-rounded understanding of how economic systems actually work and what the pros and cons are of different approaches.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. Economics is more than just numbers and graphs.
Absolutely.
It's about understanding how people make decisions
It is.
and how those choices affect everything around us.
I love that.
The more we understand about economics,
Yeah.
the better we can make decisions for ourselves
Right.
and contribute to a better economy.
To a healthier
Yeah.
and more sustainable economy.
I'm feeling inspired to keep learning more. Before we move on, is there anything else about economic indicators or policies or systems?
Just remember it's a journey,
Yeah.
The global economy is always changing.
Right.
So it's important to keep learning, stay curious, and be open to new ideas.
I love that. It's like we're all students in this big school of economics.
We are.
Always something new to learn.
That's true.
Okay, listener, up next, we'll look at some more advanced vocab and idioms that can really boost your economics fluency. What's that?
Okay, listener, we've covered so much already.
We have.
From basic economic terms to those big economic systems.
Yeah.
Now it's time to level up our vocab even more.
I like it.
With those advanced idioms from the source,
Okay, yeah.
I want to sound like I can give a speech at an economics conference.
I think you're ready.
Yeah.
Remember doom and gloom?
Yeah.
It's really good for describing like a really negative economic outlook.
Right.
Like, experts are predicting doom and gloom for the retail sector this holiday
I
season.
think you can practically hear those cash registers not ringing with no shoppers around.
Yeah, it paints a pretty bleak picture. Now, how about a penny for your thoughts?
Okay.
Is that just a polite way of asking what someone thinks about the economy?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It is, but there's a little more to it when we're talking about economics.
Oh, okay.
It's often used to, like, encourage someone to share their opinion, especially if they haven't said much.
Imagine you're at a meeting
Yeah.
talking about a new economic policy.
Okay.
You could say, we've heard from the analysts,
Right.
but Sarah, a penny for your thoughts on how this will affect small businesses.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
It's like a subtle way of saying, we know you have great ideas, tell us.
exactly.
Okay, this next one is a classic.
Okay, hit me.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Oh, yeah, a good one.
How does blacksmithing relate to economics?
Well, it means you got to take advantage of an opportunity right when it pops up,
Okay.
especially when the markets are moving fast.
Right.
So let's say a company's doing really well,
Mm-hmm.
the stock is going up.
Yeah.
You might say, strike while the iron is hot and buy their stock before the price goes even higher.
So it's all about good timing.
Timing is everything. Speaking of good situations,
Yeah.
turn the corner means that the economy is starting to improve.
Okay.
You might hear something like, after months of decline, the housing market seems to be turning the corner.
It's like a sigh of relief.
Things are finally getting better.
Exactly. And even when things are rough, there's often a silver lining.
Ooh, a silver lining?
Yeah, it means that even a bad situation
Right.
can have something good about it.
Okay.
Like, the silver lining of this recession is that it's pushing companies to come up with new ideas and be more efficient.
These are great. I feel so much more prepared
That's
to
for
talk
sure.
about these economic ups and downs now.
That's so
I feel more confident,
I'm so glad.
Like I can analyze things better and really discuss them.
Yeah, that's great.
Even the complicated stuff.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, language is a tool.
Yeah.
And the more tools you have,
Mhm.
the better you'll be able to handle any situation,
Right.
especially that IELTS exam.
This deep dive has really helped me, I think.
I hope so.
I feel like I'm ready for the IELTS,
Good.
but I'm also ready to talk about economics
Right.
with anyone.
That's awesome.
That's exactly what I was hoping for. Well, listener, that brings us to the end.
Wow, already.
Of our economics deep dive.
It's flown by.
We've gone through important vocabulary.
Yeah.
We've broken down complex concepts.
We have.
And even learned some fun idioms.
We did it all. We hope you feel ready to tackle those economics questions on the IELTS.
Yeah.
And that you feel more confident talking about economics in general.
The main thing to remember is, economics doesn't have to be scary.
No, it doesn't.
With a little effort and the right tools, anyone can understand these ideas.
Absolutely.
And use them to figure out how our global economy works.
For sure.
So keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep exploring the world of economics.
You got this.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, stay curious.